She got a great ass. And you got your head all the way up it.
What's up, everybody?
We made it.
What?
We made it. We're all here.
We made
What's
it.
up?
What's up? Yeah, so this week, guys, well, first of all, welcome to the Creative Block, where we talk about creative stuff. All right. We see we got almost 30 people in the chat. Share this out. I tweeted out. It's a very special episode because in the absence of one of our soulmates on the show, Narwhal.
Soulmates.
Again, 2 weeks in a row? Is this?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, the guy dragging the show down, Narwhal.
He's
Okay.
doing that total pickup artist move of retracting. He's trying to create magnetism.
That's
Well,
right.
it's not working.
But we do have in his stead, as you guys have seen on the thumbnail on Twitter, and I owe this man a favor for being on the show. Here he is.
Good screaming, everybody.
Kelsey Shannon. Oh, Jesus. What have I walked into?
Kelsey's here? I had no idea Kelsey was coming on. What?
Where's my booze? Hang on. I'm going to need more of it.
Get that and get some more.
Thank you
Our
for
mission
saving
today is to like keep Kelsey as welcomed as possible so he forgets that he has to be somewhere else later.
Well, yeah.
Oh, you have to be somewhere else later, huh? Let's forget
No,
about
I don't
that.
think he does.
Well, I mean, not really. It's just a Jack show. That's all.
Oh,
No biggie.
that doesn't
I
matter.
made sure to
It's not
get
like
here
your
on
name-
time.
it's not
Yeah.
like your
right. I
name's in the title or anything.
Appreciate it. We got a bunch of people in the chat. Hello to you all.
What's up?
We got familiar faces. Down goes Solo, of course.
What's
A
up?
mysterious man named Joe. I don't know who this Joe.
Oh.
I think that's Matt
Joe.
Downey. That's Matt Downey. Do you remember him?
Why would his name be Joe?
Because he forgot to log into his account. He got locked out of it and had to make a new one.
Okay.
Oh.
Classic
Yeah,
Joe.
Alec Campbell. Here's my brother saying Purple Monkey Dishwasher.
Hello,
This is
Phil's
future
brother.
Narv. This is like future Narv. You'll just look at my photo that Hyper Wizard drew. I mean, that's in his future for sure.
Narwhal?
Noel. Woodsman Noel.
I can see that.
His beard will just keep growing to Santa proportions.
Oh wait, no. See, look, young Narwhal. Here he is. No,
If only.
Narwhal's
And then
one of those people that seems young already. Doesn't Narwhal seem young?
he looks like this, and then soon he'll look like this.
Yeah, I didn't know what to
Kelsey.
go for the caricature. I didn't know whether to go for the long hair Kelsey or the freshly buzzed Kelsey.
Either one. It depends on the mood. I'm in the short hair mood right now. So
Well, I think no one's seen your face in months, so I think you've had like some reconstructive surgery or something like that going on, and you're just in a healing process until the reveal. I think
could be. I'm in my transition to look more like Narwhal, so I can join this show. That's
Now
All
I'm
right.
suspicious.
Well, this week, the last time, so I hosted last month, guys. It was only it feels like a month ago. It's the last time I hosted because it was
literally was Phil.
right. Which
Wow.
we talked about the archetype of the trickster character and how useful that character is, and how why we need characters like that in the culture as well. Which I hope you guys dug that. So this week, I guess sticking with the archetype theme.
Yeah, guess what? He's doing it again. He
pretty
actually
easy
is
to
going to
talk
go
about.
through all however many archetypes there
Well,
are.
this one's not like
let me guess, I showed up on the right show because last week you guys partied and drank and had fun, and now we're gonna get back to like lessons and shit, right? Oh, I just picked the right day to show up. Thank you.
Listen, screw
We
screw
always
the
do
archetype talk. Let's
lessons
just
and
party.
partying.
it's all about. There's no fun here. There's a no fun zone.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
You
the
can't have
slideshow
lessons
day.
and enjoy ourselves at the same time.
So speaking
We break out
of,
the sausages.
oh my god, these sausages are horrible. Speaking of no fun, Tech Zombie in the chat sends a super chat for $10. Thank you so much, Tech Zombie. He says, "Give me that bonk, Phil." And Kelsey, you remember the bonks, don't you?
I think so. Richard Bonk. He drew a Nexus and
Oh my
right.
God. No, this is the type of bonk you're looking at tonight.
Ow!
I'm ready to hear that a lot.
Aren't you looking forward to that for every single super chat?
Well, look we got our first bonk and we're at 101 viewers. Can you believe that?
Oh
That's
my
amazing.
god.
Amazing. And
Is
we
that a
didn't have
record?
there was no raid from Michael Bancroft. He's on a sabbatical tonight, I guess.
Do people actually like us? I'm shocked.
No, it's me.
It is you. You're
It
right.
actually might be. It actually
What
might
was I
be.
thinking? You're right. No, I'm not even joking. Nobody likes us.
All right. Yeah, people
Thank you,
are
Kelsey.
excited to see Kelsey though. Comics are booming. What's up, Jay from Desolate Souls Studios? Good to see you. All right. Well, let's get into this. Kelsey, I don't know if you knew this, but on StreamYards, they have a new feature called Slides, like slideshow.
No.
Like I could slide up in there.
It's more of a PowerPoint presentation.
Oh,
This
you
is
can
what-
fuck StreamYards now, Kelsey.
I can slide up in old StreamYard's DMs. What's up, baby?
So we're gonna take advantage of that. What's up,
We're
Brian?
gonna do a PowerPoint presentation. Oh, I did show up on the right day. Let's do
It
this.
is. Well, you don't have to do much. You just have to nod your head.
And then you're gonna show us slides from your trip to like Wisconsin, right? Like
Oh no.
the cheese museum. Check out my photos.
actually, PowerPoints are most episodes of the show. Actually,
Yeah, last week's was crazy though. Last week I had so much fun last week. Like we just hung out, talked about our creative processes. I hope at some point today we get to talk to Kelsey about his like early.
Yeah, well,
creative
why don't we
process.
start with that? Since
I'm right here. You can talk to me now.
why don't
Yeah.
you do, Jake? Do your
Do
little
my interviewing thing?
Yeah, interview
Oh,
with him. I'll
God.
put you in the first seat. There you
Yeah,
go.
like last
Let's
week.
do it.
Last week, Kelsey, we were all talking about like the early stages of our creative processes, like where we get ideas from, how we develop them, like how we pick up the good ones and throw away the shit ones. And like you're working on a whole new thing, right? You're in the early stages of
Rumor has it, yeah.
of Shank. And Phil, I woke up like an hour ago. I don't know what to ask Kelsey about this.
Well,
The answer is yes.
good job, Jake.
Kelsey, how do you get started on your creative process? How do you formulate your ideas at the beginning? I'm taking over.
Thank you,
I
Irene.
drink
I
a
know.
lot of whiskey. I smoke a lot of weed. I sleep for several days. I do some streams. I roll around in just agony and pain, and then eventually I get to the page, and then I throw that page away, and I start another page, and then that's usually the page.
Oh, that sounds about right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So, a lot of pain and self-torture and self-hatred.
Pretty much. Because I mean, for real though, you get started on these things, and then you're like, oh yeah, this is sweet. And then you get to that part where you're like, well, how the hell is that? How the hell are they going to get there? Or what does that mean? Or how does it, you know? Oh, wait.
Oh, yeah.
Where's my damn thing? There we go.
You start out with a cool idea, and then you're like, wait, now I have to make it work.
Yeah. Yeah. And then on top of that, like I've written a few things, but it's mostly been just plot oriented. And then like, here's a chance where I get to kind of dive into story and character, like for real, like on my own. I'm like, okay, now what do I want to say? You know, like, and I'm like, what do I, and then, you know, and then, cause that informs like everything, you know, like what is the point? You know, what is your log line? What is the whole reason for why you're doing this? It can't be just monster fighting. So then you're like, okay, well, my character is he's struggling with this, and you're like, okay, well, how does that tie into the thing you want to do? And then you're constantly on this like search for all the connective tissue that brings it all together. And I'm finally at this point, and thanks to Phil also. I've been running ideas past Phil. He's been really good about it. But yeah, it's I'm sure it'll be a struggle to the very end. I'm always reminded of this quote from Tim Burton, of all people, where they were like, does it get any easier? And he goes, no, it never gets any easier.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
No, never gets any.
Truth, though. Well, we have faith in you. Do you start out, so with story, I think we talked about this on the show as well. Some people start out with character and some people start out with plot. Like what's your starting point for your work?
Well, I mean, it's usually like, it used to be like very plot based. Like, I'm just like, okay, I want this to happen, this to happen, this to happen. But this time around, like I was approaching it all from like the character. And because I've noticed people latching on to character, you know, and there's been kind of a glut of really exceptional characters. And I'm not just talking like Spider-Man, you know, it's the character that makes up Spider-Man. That's what's really important. So I'm like, okay, well, I got my guy Shank. You know, what's he about? What's he like? You know, okay, well, he likes this, he likes that. You know, he doesn't like this, doesn't like that. You know, and then eventually you start forming like a character, and he approaches things in his own way, and then you just kind of have to set up a scenario, and then let him play in that scenario, and then you're like, oh my god, that's not at all what I need you to do. Why did you do that? You know, and you kind of have to catch up with him.
Right. So when that happens, do you tend to just go with what the character does because you want to stay true to them, or do you like put the plot and your plan first?
Well, sometimes you got to go with the flow. Sometimes you you may have to go down a thread, and then you might have to scrap that thread. I have a lot of threads that are now spin-off stories. So like if Shank does well and people are interested in the story, like there's more places to go because I followed a thread down far enough where I'm like, nah, this is not really, like, I need to steer this back in the other direction, but all this stuff is like really cool. Let me just hang on to it, you know, and it could be useful later on. But yeah, I like to kind of just let them do what they want to do and explore, but I do have my needs for this story and what it needs to accomplish. So, and I do have to kind of, all right, Shank, turn around. Let's go back this way. You know, yeah,
Cool.
It's a very organic kind of thing.
But where did you start off with Shank? Because I remember way back when the first time you were showing it, his name was Jack Knife. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
guys.
Yeah, Jack Knife was many different characters, so I had to kind of go back to the drawing board on that one.
That's what I mean. Like, I'm wondering where it originally came from. If it was just this image of this design of just this guy with like a knife for a head, and then and how you extrapolated who he is now from that first design.
Well, that is a good point. That is where it kind of started because everybody was talking about all these image books and like wanting that kind of '90s thing again, and I don't know that I'm there anymore. Like I'm in a whole other place, but I do love the kind of trappings of it, and I'm like, okay, let me see if I can do that on like the surface and give the action and the intensity and all that stuff of all these comics that we loved. In addition to manga, Irene, I'm not excluding some manga, but you know, you got the action, adventure, and all this stuff, and the really, but also there's some things I kind of want to like explore in my own psyche. So you know, and that makes the characters richer and the whole reason for it a lot deeper. And so like, I was like, let me start off with like a cool visual. And so I just started sketching, and I love like Savage Dragon and like freaking Ultraman and who else? All these guys that have like things coming out of their head. And I'm like, oh, let me just start with that. So I stuck a knife in this guy's head, and it dug into me for some reason. And it's really funny because I thought it was just me, but I get emails like all the time now of like, that character's so cool. And I'm like, it's kind of just a guy in a jogging suit with a knife coming out of his head. So like, what is it? There's something very primal about it somehow.
It is. I remember when the character you were toying around with the jackknife name, I messaged you as soon as I saw it. I'm like, dude, this guy looks freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Can't wait for this. And it's just like a weird guttural reaction. And I think you're onto something because we do hear a lot, oh man, the 90s was awesome with their characters. I think people like the artistic and design aspects of characters from back then. And seemingly you and what I'm trying to do are sneaking in the good character development in there as well.
Yeah.
Like focusing on the character, which a lot of those 90s comics didn't have.
Well, dude, Headrock brings up Chainsaw Man, and that's like exactly where I'm going with this. Because I saw that visual, and I was like, yeah, a guy with a chainsaw coming out the front of his face. How cool is that? Yeah. And then you like read it, and like, it's more about this kid, at first trying to like touch some boobs and like doing whatever he can, to do that. But he's also got this whole plot about, and I only read the first volume, so I'm sure it goes even further than that with his like what's going on in his life. Yeah, but it starts with just this really compelling image of a guy with a chainsaw coming out of his head. But there's a lot more to it, and I love that.
Yeah, like in the first chapter of Chainsaw Man, like you get so many things straight away. You get like the debt of his father with the crime thing, and like, he has like no life, and he just has ends up having this one friend that's his dog, and then like ends up in a terrible situation and ends up combining with it. Like, have you started thinking about that first punch of a story with Shank and like what you want to convey in that, like the really tight first story? Or
there's definitely a lot of meat to this, but I'm rolling it out a little bit slowly. Like I wanted to start off with just Hank. Hank is the guy's name, and they call him Shank. It's like a nickname, but he hates that. And then later he gets a big knife coming out of his head, and he kind of just accepts it. It's like, how do you avoid it now? But what was the question? Oh yeah. So,
well, the first story, like formulating the first story, how you want to convey this character to the audience early on.
Yeah, like initially I wanted to just do the slow rollout, but like, just get to know the world and the character and all this stuff. And then, but I was talking to some people about it, maybe even Phil as well, but like, it pretty much convinced me that it would be better to kind of start off with some action. And I started thinking about that, about like as an artist, when I was doing Norris Saga, I was like, please just start off with a Viking battle, and just let's go back from there. Let's figure out how. And I didn't get that. And like, so that kind of dawned on me on this one. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, I need to kind of start off with some, something, and then build back up on it. It's kind of an old trope, but because like it's not like Chainsaw Man in a way where you're kind of starting as things are already happening. So I have to kind of build up why these things are happening. So it is kind of an origin story, but yeah.
No,
yeah,
it
yeah,
sounds so familiar. It's so familiar. Like I think I've done the same thing. Rainey's talked about the same thing. I'm not sure if Phil has, where you'll want to do the decompressed storytelling, and you're like, yeah, it's the world, and then we build it slowly, and you really get to love these characters.
Yeah, and then go on the journey with them. Yeah.
And then you're like, shit, I can't just spend the whole first volume of doing slice of life stuff. I've got it. And then you feel compelled to do an action scene right
especially because the format we're putting these out, crowdfunding, and the time it takes to get these, so like I always try to, even before I got into crowdfunding, I've always heard kind of like even monthly comics, you want action at the beginning to hook people in and then unfold the things. And I think what Kelsey's doing with Shank, he's really got a cool format down of how he's going to be telling the story.
Well, it sucks because there's so much meat that I wanted to get into with the town and the townspeople. So like my overarching theme is about change. It's about how things change as you get older. It's dealing with change. It's about physical change, environmental change. About, that's kind of like this overarching theme. And I wanted to really explore that with all my characters that I'm dealing with in the town and show how Hank is really feeling trapped in this go nowhere town and really wants to escape. A kind of a simple tale, of a young ambition, and he doesn't understand that to, for instance, his uncle, who he's living with in this town, his whole life has been turned upside down by change. So like, whereas Shank thinks nothing changes in this town, other people's lives are being completely altered by change. And so it's completely from his perspective. But because we're dealing with like 64 pages, about where I want to go with this, 64 pages, it's thick, it's doable. I can probably finish it up in a reasonable amount of time. And you realize how little space that actually is, especially if you got a lot of story to tell. You got to hit beats quick, you got to move. Yeah. So I'm having to truncate a lot of this great world building stuff and try to figure out how to do it as economically as possible, but still have it, so I don't know. We'll see. Again, if it does well, we'll do more. I can flesh it out more. We'll just do it that way,
Yeah, I remember when you and I were talking about something, we came up with a point of, just an idea where we're like, oh, this is really cool. This probably would be a good thing, kind of another arc to do down the line. And so like stuff like that, I have like pages of story ideas for my stories that I've came up with years ago that I haven't even got to yet, so it's like we were talking about that last week, where it's like stuff you hang on to that you're going to come back to later, which is really important.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just, now that I'm writing and getting into world building and I've watched every kind of movie, every kind of TV show, I've heard every kind of music. I'm really surprised by anything. And it's not that I'm doing anything surprising, but it is new in the sense that this is something kind of cool and it is playing out in front of me. And it's really like watching this TV show. You ever watch a TV show and you're like, oh man, it would have been so much better if you'd have just gone this way. Well, it's like that, where I'm like, I'm watching it kind of in my head play out. And I'm like, no, that's lame. Now let's, go another direction or see what happens. And yeah, just trying to watch like the coolest TV show on right now and then put it to paper.
Well, are you building a system around transformation then? Like, so this is Shank's like a normal guy who ends up how he ends up, and like, is this a whole thing you're building out for other characters? Is it going to be like a world spanning thing that has
there's a catalyst event. I can't say too much because it just kind of, I mean, that's part of the whole
just reveal. Tell us everything, just ruin it, just spoil the whole damn thing.
But there is kind of a power system. There is like basically 2 or 3 different types of mutation that happens, and some people have control over it, like Shank, and can use that ability, and then others just become kind of monstrous, in some cases completely rabid and can't control themselves at all. So it eventually becomes kind of my own X-Men, in the sense that the world is going to go to shit based on this catalyst event, this thing that happens, and so the only ones that are capable of defeating this evil is the people that can control this ability. So Shank ends up being kind of like at the forefront. He's like my Wolverine in a way.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
like
I will
the-
be getting into some team book kind of aspects with these guys. It'll be fun.
Dude,
Look at that art.
yeah, this is one of my favorite pieces. Everybody in the chat is super excited about this, man. I'm super excited about it. Shank's gonna be badass.
Yeah, I wish I gotta quit taking on little gigs. I'm doing Shane accent book story for Shane. I got some covers I gotta finish up. I'm coloring something for Aaron. I'm trying to get my sketchbook thing out. I'm like, oh God, all I want to do is work on my book. Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah,
Well, you'll be there soon.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah,
definitely. Well, in the meantime, guys, if you love kick-ass books like this, we on the panel here have some stuff you could take a look at and grab before we dive into our topic tonight. The Lost Pages 3 has like what, eight backers until 500 backers, which is insane. Thank you guys so much. So if you guys haven't grabbed this, check it out. We have all of the backstories leading up to the third one that you can get in the tome. It's 212 pages for just $20. You can get that in the catch-up tier as well.
that's Simon Beasley cover, man.
Yeah, Bisley's coming back doing our variant cover.
It's a crime to cover up those nipples.
Yeah,
They're there. They're popping.
Heresy.
Okay? So if you love the ladies, definitely get that cover. This is 80 plus pages, like going to be 82 pages. I just got some awesome layouts in this week. I'm super hyped.
Dude, those layouts are great. You were showing me those, and I'm like, I would like to see this as just the book. I mean, it looks great.
Yeah,
have you ever thought about doing that as a side book, Phil? If you have those awesome layouts, just doing a little ash can of the you can literally have 2 spreads on a like horizontal book or whatever.
Dude, I would love to do that. It's just like, it's another thing to print, you know?
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
Maybe like when we do like an omnibus or something down the line, because even for Lost Pages 2, all the layouts for the Silhouette story were done by Alan Alonso, the Howl Comics, and they're freaking awesome. It's so cool to see the layouts compared to Maxie's finished work on the page. So
you could do some back matter, like post the script, then the layout, then the final art, and then the colors, you know, so people could see like a transition.
Wait,
I don't know if I ever liked that. Huh?
Back matter sounds like such a fucking cool name for a book or a character. That's
Back
great.
matter.
Back matter.
It does.
There he is now. Back matter.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's way too much. Come on now.
His catchphrase is, "I'm really backed up."
Oh no!
Right.
Didn't need that. Thanks.
Yeah, so go on over here, check this out. If you guys are into like little statues and figures stuff, we have these Crim statues that you can get in the monster pack, or you can add them on. Comes in 7 pieces, and you can put them together and paint them yourself. So pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah, it looks cool.
Check it out. Yeah, shout outs to Eddie Winkler who painted that up for me. Good,
Nice.
my boy. So check out the Lost Pages. The link's in the description, and of course, Irene is here talking about. This is wrapping, Irene.
The Fiend.
This is wrapping up.
Yeah.
Right?
It is. It should be closing on like Monday or maybe Wednesday. I thought it was going to be Monday, but I need to actually email them. So sometime next week, this campaign is coming down. So if you haven't backed it yet, back it now. If you like fantasy and mystery and demon fighting and all kinds of good stuff like that, then this is
Amazing
a book for you.
art, too.
Check it out. Thank you.
I love this cover.
2,000 people going to be reading this. 2,128. Let me be specific. How cool is that? Is that more than the last one?
Oh, it's a lot more. I think last
A
time it
little
was this. This is like double the last one with reader
Wow.
count, so it's only mildly terrifying. It's
No, it's exciting. Come on.
yeah. With book one, that was like I wanted to jump into the story with like a big actiony opening, but actually the feedback I got was like, "There's too much action. We want more character stuff." So guess what? Book two is all characters. So I know.
Oh
So book two is in like you guys here mostly Jake and Phil have read it. So book two is like there's action, but there's always action. Every book is because that's a big part of the story. But it's a lot of it is also about the world building and characters, and I'm pretty happy with it. I'm really proud of this work. We're waiting for the last few pages of colors, and I'm wallowing in my anxiety about the dialogue and writing as we speak. But what's done is done, and it's going to be going to print in like a week or so. So check it out. And
you gotta live with it.
It's got to be done. I can't just keep nitpicking at it. So it's going to be going to print. And if this looks interesting to you, which it should, because it's awesome, you should check it out. And you can, if you have any doubts, you can look at the website, fiendishcomic.com. I actually have a free preview of chapter 1 on there a bunch of art and art gallery. So go take a look there and look through the campaign. And we have a lot of cool stuff. So thank you.
Very cool.
Yes.
Just delay it for a year, Rini, and keep refining the text like you've been doing.
No, really. I really actually think the text is about as good as it can be. So it's just, it's just like the artist insecurities. Like Kelsey was saying, like you when you first put it down on paper, you're like, oh, this is awesome. Yeah. And then you just go through like a roller coaster of like, this sucks, this is great, this sucks, this is great. So,
what's worse is like when it's not right and you just can't think of a better way to put it. And you just leave it there and it's always in the back of your head. And then sometimes right at the last minute, that better line will come through. But man, sometimes you got to leave it there.
Yep. You gotta put it out there.
You gotta cut off the turtle head eventually.
And then everybody goes, "That was my favorite line," and you're like, "No," like.
Or you like change something, and then people are like, and then like you realize later you shouldn't have changed it. That's the worst.
That's the worst
it would have been so much better if you did this, and you're like, "I did that."
Yeah. Don't suck
I know.
We got 230 people in the chat, guys. Thank you guys for being here. If you guys aren't able to back, we got something free for you to sign up for. Check out. Kelsey,
200, how many people in here? We need to bring Kelsey on every week.
230.
Yeah.
This is as big as our first one.
Zoom out, Phil. What the hell? What's going on?
I'll say yes and never come back. That's
my
way. I'll be here next week. Not.
Jake, talk about this, brother.
Scroll down a little bit. So you get this is there we go. Yeah, this is my sign up for Conan the Barbarian. I'm finally getting my shit together and doing the book. I was supposed to be like, I've got all my thumbnails in my book. I was supposed to be working on this week. Kind of didn't do any more thumbnails because I kind of ended up reading freaking Berserk all week. I've read like how many? I've read 7 of these. I'm on book 8 of this shit. Like, I've spent all week reading this.
Is it making you rethink everything you're doing?
That's the thing. Like, I was like, because like Connell, if you guys haven't heard of it before or signed up before, it's a sexy comedy thing, setting the world of Deploria, following the misadventures of the hero Connell the Barbarian, as he like faces off with the Blorks, otherwise known as Blue Orcs. But yeah, like this is a fun comedy thing, and I've literally been reading the most drawn out, like serious fantasy story by reading Berserk, and I'm sitting there like, nothing has any meaning anymore. How can I laugh in a world like this?
Prepare to give up on humanity.
Yeah, like we were talking about like pacing and stuff, and how you're trying to think of how to fit that story into 60 pages, Kelsey. Yeah. My first story, it's split into 3 45 or 50 page books, and I'm like, I can't compress the story any more than that and still tell the story that I want.
Yeah.
So like this campaign could end up being like 3. It's only black and white, so I could get it done pretty quickly. Like 3 50-page books, in individual books, and then in a collected. But yeah, man, like,
well, why don't you do like? Do you have it? Does each book have like a satisfying a story to tell, so you could put one at a time? You don't have to do them all 3 in one campaign.
I have split it up that way. I did
yeah, that's perfect then.
But you want it all out there, don't you?
When you want to get that first chunk of story out there, so people know what it's all about. But yeah, so. Yeah, I've been very much enjoying working on this thing. So yeah, go sign up. It shouldn't be too long until I start working on it. And if I do decide to put the first 50-page book out,
show some of the art, Jake.
Please, this looks great.
Well, these are my thumbnails that I've been doing. Like, there's actually maybe that's too big a moment.
That lady there. What was this?
Like there's there's some pages. It's just trying to be as shameless as possible, but still have some substance to it. Like I know fan servicey stuff does quite well, and I always enjoy buying it. But every time I buy it, I'm like,
I enjoy it.
I'm like, oh, there's no substance though. Like I'll buy books, I'll buy the booby books, and then I'll be like, oh, but what the story isn't there? And it's like, yeah,
the crab. I mean, show the crab guy.
There he is, some crab. These are the mind.
I want character motivation while I'm jerking off. God.
Yeah, totally.
When are they gonna understand these things?
But yeah, like, so part of my aim has been to like develop the story as much as possible and have the characters conveyed as much as these are just like the rough thumbnails. So I want to do a booby book that actually has substance to it.
I love it.
But yeah, so this is the titular character Connell, and his yeah. I never know what to fucking show because it's like this character's fucking stuff. I'm like, I never know what I can show or not. But like, yeah.
Show us the nudie pages.
Show that.
Yeah, let's show which.
Burn down Phil's channel.
The pinup?
The nudie pages.
The pinup with the axe. You have that?
Oh, that's in the other room. I don't have that with me right now. Sorry, Phil. So I could go get it. But yeah.
The other room, that's such a long way away.
It's all the way over there. But yeah, no, when people are talking, when we were talking a minute ago about like the using these thumbnails and printing a second backup book, I might even have these thumbnails on the campaign as a second book. But
that'd be cool.
Yeah. Go sign up.
Back matter.
Yeah, get some back matter today. But yeah, we're at like 57 signups. So literally, if there are 3 people out there who have not yet signed up, who have not yet tossed their email towards me, if you do it tonight, we could hit 60, and I'll be very, very happy.
Make this the perfect like dessert, or the perfect cleanser for Berserk. Like, oh God, I need something. I need some joy in my life. Let me go to this.
Cleanse. No, literally, I got to the end. I haven't even started this one yet because they're like a pretty much an arc finished just before this, and I'm like, which way, modern man? Do I continue reading the next 6 books of that, or like, do I carry on doing my funny booby thing? So I think
you might have to go all the way now, but I mean, it's not finished, right? Like, did his crew get in there and like finish up what he started, or did they just leave it?
They're still working on it, right?
Yeah,
they're still working on it. But I mean, there are like a million chapters to read, so you can just at least keep reading. Wait, where are you in the story?
Me?
Yeah. What volume?
What arc?
I just finished the conviction arc.
Okay.
Which guess what? I see. Like, Reenie's read all this shit, and I've been reading all this shit. I can't wait to talk to Reenie about this sometime. But like, Reenie, the conviction arc's the best one.
No, it's not. I hate it.
There we go. That's conversation. That's what we gotta do.
I hate the conviction art. I mean, it's not bad, but it's my least favorite.
Phil, we're gonna read Lobo Paramilitary Christmas Special for like the 10th time, and we'll have our discussion.
I loved it.
We need to hash it out at some point, Reenie.
We need to. Next time on my channel, we'll just talk about Berserk the whole show.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we got 225 people in the chat. If you guys haven't subbed, please do so. And hit that like as well. We do this every Thursday, but it's a rotating show. So next week it's going to be on Irene's channel. Is that right?
Is it? Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, you got to figure out your topic. Every week, guys, the person who's hosting is like, fuck.
I know.
Think of a fucking topic. Shit.
We're going to be talking about Berserk at the end.
Oh my god.
I better read it.
Make sure you guys are subbed
Everyone
to her
read 8
channel
volumes of
as
it.
well.
Yep.
Who's
all right.
not subbed to Irene? Come on.
Yeah, so get on the.
What do you got? Like 20,000 followers on the thing? I don't know what you're
No,
saying.
I have like 4,000.
Yeah, she's
Hey!
not at Bancroft level yet.
What? I got more than you. Word.
I know.
Make sure you're subbed to
I thought-
Kelsey's. Kelsey's been doing the best morning shows around.
Sorry, I don't have topics either. I'm like, what the hell am I going to say today? Let the chat do it. They always know.
Yeah, talking with chat's great. We got a huge chat though. Guys, I'm going to get through a couple of these super chats. I might consolidate the bonks though.
What heresy?
Well, you
You must
have your
play an
soundboard.
8-minute bonk clip.
We
for each
must have-
individual-
I want full bonk.
We got Jeremy Burtz for 199. There's one more bonk for Irene, and then we
Thank
got
you.
Angela Curry says this is for Irene bonk bonk.
Just
So
in case,
we'll,
just in case you don't know, Kelsey, Rini absolutely fucking hates the bonks.
Yeah, she hates the bonk.
Yeah.
So every single show now, people will. I hope you guys make money because people will chat them too.
Irene.
I'm not even monetized. People were sending me fucking PayPal money to bonk Irene on the last week's show.
Yeah, that was awesome.
They weren't
You're
even super chatting.
Fucking torture.
Angela Curry for $5 says hi Kelsey with a heart. Oh,
Hi, Angela. She's in my
She's your
Hello.
chat.
biggest fan, Kelsey. Angela's your
Ooh.
biggest fan.
Yeah, Angela's great.
Awesome. I'm her
Ant-
biggest fan.
Whoa, hey now. Anthony Gonzalez Clark says, Kelsey, story looks awesome. I'll do a cover for you. Anthony
Nice.
Gonzalez Clark. Hell yeah. I'm gonna have to look up this guy's art. I think he sent me some of it. And then the Mr.
pal.
Burger show. What's up, Mr. Burger? It's been a long time. I could no longer resist Reenie's adorableness. Backer 2418. There you go.
Oh, awesome!
You got
Hey,
What did
What
you
about
get?
me?
Did you get? Did you get the big bundle?
you look good too, Kelsey.
all right, thank you.
Kelsey, you're so chiseled all of a sudden.
I've been working out. Yeah.
That's how chiselly look when Kelsey shaves the beard off. That's what's underneath.
Yeah.
We also had a gifted membership, I think, from Chimera. Thank you so much. Just one. He's always just given the one. Which I
All it
appreciate.
takes is
though.
one.
All it takes is one. All right, let's get on with this topic, guys. That
Oh, yeah, the topic, right?
Yeah.
Right. I forgot. We have a topic.
Carefully prepared. I think it's 7 slides. With,
Oh, here we go. This is where Kelsey bounces as well. It's like, see you later, guys. That's it.
You guys, people need to tell me when the Jack show starts, because depending on whose channel it is, I won't get a notification if it's
This was the one day we've actually started early. I got to take off, man. Sorry.
no. God damn it, Kelsey.
Hey, let's keep
Look
him
at
around.
this.
Let's ask him again. Kelsey, where do you get your ideas from?
No.
Wait,
Look
wait.
at here.
So what's your process?
Yeah, like you just talk
What's
about
your-
more about you.
What's your personality type? What's your star chart?
What's your favorite ice cream
He's
flavor?
gone.
You fucking left.
He's gone.
That did
That's
it.
it.
You didn't like star charts. Oh, you got a member chat, apparently.
The sit down to 60 viewers instantaneously as soon as he
He's
leaves.
back. He's back, everybody.
He's back. Oh no.
Oh, thank God.
That
right.
old
Welcome
trick.
back to-
I've so thoughtfully prepared these slides for us all. Talking about the shadow as a character, and what is the shadow? If you guys aren't familiar, we're not talking about the pulp hero, the shadow. This is a concept, I guess, invented by Carl Jung, or coined the term.
Usually, when you have a light source, one-point light source, you end up it casts a shadow where the light is obscured by an
sidebar here. I had a nightmare the other night. Does this ever happen to you guys? Do you guys have nightmares?
You guys heard about this? Heard about these nightmares?
You ever hear tell of these things?
I never dream.
Never, Phil. What the fuck is that?
Kelsey, do you actually never dream?
Yeah, I haven't had a dream in years.
It's the weed.
That's weird.
Yeah,
I think it is.
Are you usually?
It's the weed. Yeah.
No, not that high. That's the thing. You smoke a lot. It's like a maintenance at that point. Might as well be smoking cigarettes.
Well, it's in your system.
Same as Matt Barr. It's the same as Matt Barr. He's high all the time, and he's preventing himself from dreaming. If you stopped, you would have the wildest fucking dreams, Kelsey. If you took a break.
I used to be plagued by dreams. I got dreams that's still with me today, man, and they're coming true. That's the thing. So I'm trying to protect myself.
Kelsey is a living dream. People are calling you the living dream.
Kelsey, the dream.
Anyways, I had this nightmare. I was over at the girlfriend's, and I literally was like vocally saying out loud in reality, no.
What? Wake me up. What's happening?
So your stress coming out in your sleep.
I'll make this short, but the first part of the dream, I was on a sled in like a snowy land with two other people, and someone else was like driving the sled, and I got pissed off at them because they crashed the sled off of this bridge, and I had to go into the icy water to get the sled back out, and I'm like, I'm driving. So
it's a metaphor for the show.
It was weird. And anyways, the creepy part was I was in like this cabin, and there was a snowy forest in the backyard, and then there was this little kid running around in the forest. So I went out to find out what he was doing, and I had a flashlight, and he went all like Japanese creepy girl movements on me, with the body.
Did you like freeze up where you're like, oh God, you couldn't move?
No. When I'm in my dreams, I know they're dreams. So I was like, this is really weird.
Waking life kind of stuff.
Yeah. And so I had a flashlight with me, and I distinctly remember shining the flashlight on this kid, and the light passed through him. It illuminated him, but he didn't have a shadow. And I distinctly remember, I'm like, this is creepy. This kid doesn't have a shadow. And then I'm like, no, not this. And then I said that out loud, and then my girlfriend's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like,
You're like, no,
nightmare. And I'm like, sorry about that.
It feels in a dream, and a kid doesn't have a shadow. He's like, well, this is weird.
But I was dreaming about being married and having kids.
Take me back! Take me back!
No, not this.
Yeah, anything but this.
I think that I just researching all this stuff about Carl Jung's shadow concept made me have this nightmare about it, like the shadow thing, because it was such a prominent part.
Did you research? Did you decode the dream after then, Phil?
No, because I didn't want to fight. Because when you decode those things, all it just means is you're gay, right? That's the ultimate.
No, that's not. That's
if you're gay, it does, Phil. If you're gay, it does.
That's Freudian, not Jungian.
Well, you can't find out you're gay if you don't decode the dream, right? So I just didn't.
You want to be in denial.
Yeah.
You might have more fun getting in touch with your true gay side, Phil.
Oh my God!
It's in there.
Painfully plausible.
It will be at some point, and then out again, and then in again.
Oh my God! All right, let's get back to this. No, none of decoding my.
Speaking of the shadow, yeah.
My goodness. All right, the shadow. All right, Carl Jung. We've talked about him in the past. Father psychology and that stuff. So as defined by him, Carl Jung's analytical psychology, the shadow as a concept comprises everything the conscious personality experiences as negative. So this is
So this show is my shadow.
Right.
With a Shadow Jack show right now.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's all the bad things, and we'll talk about it more. But things that you kind of repress, or urges that you have that you don't act out on because they're bad, right? And Jung would always say you have to kind of get in touch with that side of yourself if you don't want that shadow self to kind of define you.
Well, the idea is it's like all the parts of you that you don't want to actually accept exist, and if you don't embrace them and incorporate them into your actual personality, they'll grow in the shadows and end up, in your moments of weakness coming out as well, like taking over you.
Right.
So my murdering narwhal earlier this week was my shadow. Unchecked.
Yeah, you've been repressing that side of you,
no.
and then it finally came out.
Yeah.
And now look where we are.
So what if your shadow is something more horrible than you probably want to explore, and you get in touch with it? I mean, how do you get in touch with your shadow?
Like if you want to murder people?
Yeah, like
and
say, let's
steal
go
their
to the
stuff?
very end. Yeah.
It's a very abstract concept, because he urges people to get in touch with this part of yourself, but like, how do you incorporate that into your life? The only example I've really found is like if you have an angry side of you and like a very intense anger, they're saying use that for kind of good, in pick your battles and to advocate for things, and put.
But how do you
put that into
control
a
it?
passion.
How do you control it?
Well,
How do you control it, Kelsey?
I don't. I mean, I get pissed off at it like a drop of a dime, man. I'm like ready to go. Like I mean, I'm ready to fight. So like, I don't know if but that's probably not my shadow. That's just being Texan,
Actually,
Yeah.
no, specifically like the anger and fighting. If someone were to bother picking up like a martial art or practicing that
Right.
can actually be like a place where you can get the combat out. Do you know what I mean? Like
healthy outlets for these things.
Exactly.
So what about murder? Let's go back to that. Like, say your dark side is murder, like John Malin.
Like,
how does he exercise that?
He's got to play a lot of Grand Theft Auto.
He clearly is exercising it in his basement.
That's the thing, Phil. Video games, like there's always talk about like, violent video games. It's going to make the kids go crazy.
More of a catharsis, actually.
Yeah,
right?
that can be a simulated space where people we kind of like live in such a non-violent world compared to like previous eras that we know of.
Mm-hmm.
Fiction and video games and like say simulated combat and martial arts, all of that can just be an outlet for these darker sides. Like we could be having violent video games could literally be saving us from a lot of people's shadows.
Yeah. I think and a lot of the problems we have in society, like all these people that just want to have something to fight, it seems like in our generation, it seems like we live in such a safe world and we need conflict, and it probably would be worse without video games and all this stuff. And
drugs also help. Yeah,
drugs do help.
Yes.
Chris in the chat says confronting your shadow means dealing with your past because it follows you until you shine a light on it. I think this is a lot of psychologists and like therapy stuff, like doing, what do they call it? Shadow
work.
Yeah, shadow work. And it's just doing that, which is like trying to look into your past.
I think another side of that is what we do. We're artists. We put it into story and character, and we exercise these things that way.
Just about to say that. Yeah, I think art and writing both are kind of therapy.
Oh, for sure.
For example, people like me hate therapy, but I kind of just put all my issues into my stories, and
I hate working out too, so I draw all my characters all buff.
Yeah.
Doing the same thing, Kelsey. I'm doing the same thing.
So hard.
All right, let's move on to the next slide.
Next slide, please.
Thank you. Oh, these are some cool quotes.
Freaky.
I thought this was
Mildly
freaky,
terrifying.
Is that what your shadow looks like, Phil?
Yeah, definitely. Got a big
You want us to
design
read
on it.
these?
It's Phil's sleep paralysis demon. He took a photo.
Yeah. So let's see. These are, I think these are quotes from Carl. Yeah, I remember. The shadow is a moral problem that challenges the whole ego personality. For one can become
No one.
Oh, sorry. No, for no one can become conscious of the shadow without considerable moral effort. To become conscious of it involves recognizing the dark aspects of the personality as present and real. This act is the essential condition for any kind of self-knowledge.
Well, hang on. So now that brings up an interesting quote that I've heard before, and I forget where this comes from. Maybe Hyper Wizard, no. But like, what's that saying? If you look too deep into the darkness looks back.
Looks back at you.
The abyss.
The abyss. Who said that?
I don't know what it's from, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
So that's what they're talking about here. Like, what if you look into that thing that you've been neglecting for so long, and it turns out you like it? You know, like I mean that it takes over you in that sense. You're not able to fight at that point. You've unlocked the door.
I think the idea is more not just like looking at it, but recognizing it and dealing with it and looking for an outlet, because if you keep on keeping it repressed, it would be like a dam and it would just break out one day and then you just
But that's what I'm saying. What if the act of exploring that, looking into that abyss, that's your catalyst that unlocks that darkness.
That would be
instead of rebelling it, you embrace it.
Tying that into the subject of villains, I think that's an interesting. That would be an interesting take on how a villain's psychology begins. That would be
the villain embraces it, the hero rebels it.
Yeah, and dealing with it in the incorrect way, because you're supposed to actually counter it and realize that your shadow is a problem. But what if somebody faces their shadow and they decide this is great, and that's how villains are born.
Look at this. 40% says, what if the shadow self is the true self?
I mean, it half is. Your true self is an amalgamation of your shadow and you.
Yeah, it's something you put a mask over that you don't want other people to know about and see. Stuff that you morally are ashamed of, for sure.
Like, if you're repressing your shadow, you're actually not being your true self in this idea of thinking.
Ryan Blue Thunder, a very well-read lawyer here. He says, he who fights monsters might take care lest he thereby become a monster. And if you gaze for long into the abyss also gazes into you. Nietzsche.
By Napoleon Bonaparte.
Not Napoleon. Yeah, here, you guys know Jordan Peterson?
Yeah.
His take on it. So this is
heard of that guy.
He was asked about this. Let me reload this.
Battle not with monsters, lest ye become a monster. And if you gaze into the abyss gazes also into you.
Right. But I would say, bring it on. If you gaze into the abyss long enough, you see the light, not the darkness.
Are you sure about that?
I bet my life on it.
Yeah, that's a heck of a bet.
Well, that's
because it might distort your mind to where all you see
is abyss.
Is abyss. Yeah. Is the evil in this world.
Well, then I would say you haven't looked long enough.
Battle not.
I love how intense he is with his words.
You need a video game voiced. You need like a video game character that's like a dark character, all grisly, and then you need it voiced by Jordan Peterson. Who's like, I am the knight. Okay, like, I'm gonna slay you, motherfuckers.
Better put me into yourself and clean house.
I like this just made him into a leprechaun now.
No, I mean, he
look,
has a bit of a Kermit voice, but I can't do a voice that deep.
See, I mean, that's presupposing that the individual has the strength to do that. I mean, Jordan Peterson is a character that instead of sitting around and being compelled to say this or that, he stood up. Whereas there's a lot of people who would like to do that don't, or they do the other side because it's just easier to do, So he's coming at that perspective from someone that is able to overcome those fears,
Well,
Definitely.
he's like a clinical psychologist, right? So he has probably used shadow work to help like a lot of people. Whenever I've done shadow work in the past with myself, it's not usually like, oh, there's this really dark side of me, and like, oh, that's the true me. It's more like you have a bit of a problem, like, I feel weird whenever I'm in this situation.
Chronic masturbation.
Yeah, like, I'm masturbating for 7
I
hours
never feel
every day,
weird
and
with
it's
that.
a real problem. Why am I masturbating for 7 hours
Yeah.
every day? And they're like, what? Basically, you just kind of like ask this chain of whys, or at least whenever I've done it. It's like, why am I doing this? And you don't stop asking why until you get a satisfying answer. And it's like, it's basically like going into a dark cave. All of the questions why is like going deeper into the cave. Sometimes you'll have uncomfortable realizations, and it'll be like slaying a small monster in a cave. Or it's like untying a little knot. And the idea is if you go back far enough and ask enough whys and give yourself satisfying answers that aren't just excuses, that aren't just deflections, eventually you'll get to like the treasure chest at the deep part of the cave, and that'll be the past lie that you told yourself. That you would have gone through a bad experience, you wouldn't have known how to process it, you would have disregarded it with some kind of lie that you accepted yourself, and unpinning that lie is like the treasure at the back of the cave. And it's when you do that, the problem is kind of supposed to go away a little.
What if there's no lie though? Like, what if you know yourself?
No, everyone has a lie.
I would be surprised if anyone knew themselves that much.
No, it's like, and it's not like when you're writing fictional characters, you can't have like you want your main character to have one core lie, because I think I brought this up before. This is really cool how it ties into I brought up how in role-playing games a quick shortcut for creating a character is finding out what they want and what they need, and these two things are in opposition, and they don't know what they actually need, because the thing they actually need to do or need to seek to solve their problems, and on a deeper psychological level, that could be the shadow and the thing that they're in denial of, the thing that they're not pursuing, and they want something else and they think this will solve their problems, but it's not what they actually need. But in real life, for all of us, it's not just one thing, because like everybody has issues, even if you have like a perfect childhood. Well, your issue, like a lot of people now, is probably you don't have enough conflict and you don't feel like you're growing. So it's not even about was your life easy. Like we humans are so multifaceted, and we need challenges, but we also need stability at the same time. And there's just no balance, and every single person is different. So at the end of the day, there's something that you can improve on always. And part of that process of what Jake was talking about, of like looking for that treasure in the cave, with my friends who have gone through therapy for like all their issues and stuff, that's kind of similar to what they said. Well, it's like issues you have with people over and over again, and you start just stepping back and self-critiquing what's the real reason.
Look, I mean, you get older, you start knowing yourself pretty damn well, and you start wondering, do I even want to fix that? You know, like, here's a for instance. I hate answering the phone. I'll leave the phone in the other room. I'll call someone back 2 days later. I hate the phone. And I'm like, I've even explored what the hell that is. And I've come to a lot of different conclusions. One of them is that a lot of bad news has come to my way over the phone.
Yep.
You know,
sounds like shadow work you're doing.
Yeah.
Shadow work.
But I understand why I have this behavior, but has it changed anything? No, I just am aware why I hate answering the phone. You know, like I haven't changed my behavior.
Well, with the phone thing, it could be.
I'm just more honest about it. You know, if I don't answer your phone, I'll get to you at some point. I'm just weird about the phone.
It could be a Pavlovian thing, like the dog ringing the bell and it salivates.
Oh, I'm
like,
sure it is
with the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the old school phones that have that bring, you know, that sound. It gives me the willies. Like I literally get the creeps when that happens. And I think some of it is just the energy going through the air. You know, you can almost feel it before it happens. Ring.
Kelsey, do you know what I do to stop myself worrying so much about the phone? And it's so basic.
Turn it off.
No, well, okay, there's that, but I change my ringtone every now and then.
Oh yeah.
Just like whenever I hear whenever I hear the Apple fucking alarm sound on someone else's stream, and I'm like, "Fuck, I gotta go to work." Like,
I gotta wake up.
Yeah, just every so often I change my ringtone and I change my alarm sound, and I'm like, "Fuck." So then when it rings, I'm like, "Oh, what's this wonderful new sound? Oh, a phone call. I'm not scared of you."
Well, I mean, that's like the alarm clock. Like I used to get up. I used to have real jobs. I had the alarm clock. Got up, and that sound. Oh God, it just doesn't matter. I've tried every kind of sound you could possibly imagine. Even birds that start off low and then build up. It's still like the worst thing you've ever heard. And but after becoming comic artist, I just like stopped using the alarm altogether. And honestly, I wake up at the exact same amount of time every day.
Oh,
You know what's crazy?
8 hours. That's it.
This show happens at 3 a.m. for me. I go to the gym earlier in the day and I go asleep, and I always set an alarm to wake up, right? Every single fucking time I wake up just before the alarm.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Really? That's
Yeah,
I
I've done that
wonder,
too.
like, do we
That
have
is
like an
insane.
internal atomic clock or something?
Literally,
That's how
We
yeah.
do.
How do you
Literally,
know?
yes.
Think about it a good part before, like if I have to go on a trip and I'm thinking like, oh my God, I got to do this. I got to get up. I got to be on the road at this time. It's like on your subconscious, and you go to sleep, you'll pop awake. I thought you slept that much, honestly, but you're so like wired on adrenaline, I guess, at that point.
We got a couple more super chats, guys. Thank you so much. Shanny is here in the house. Says I'm late and I'm sorry for $50. Thank you.
Wow.
So much.
That's 50 bucks.
Jesus.
Thank you for all the ducks. And guys, I don't know.
This your sugar mama or something? Damn, man.
No, this is Shanny. She's she's around. She's in the
It
chat.
may not be the last, Kelsey.
Shani. Hello.
She has this special thing where she sends people ducks, Kelsey.
People, you mean you?
It
No,
is
she does it
Phil,
for other people too.
Sugar Mama.
She does it for Joe Sontag all the time. Camelot, she's a big
Did you
Camelot
send them
fan.
$50 bunk ducks super
Yes.
chats? Okay.
Open your eyes. Now this is but this is the only channel where she has her own special duck bonk. Now here you go.
Uh-oh.
Thank you so much.
I don't believe this damn stream.
No, gotta stay.
Now loop that one.
I love that, man.
It's in your contract already.
Oh.
I miss the Simpsons.
We got Mr.
good.
Burger again for $5. Thank you. Says Phil buying your book next week. Thank you, brother. I really appreciate it. If we get to 40K, Kenneth Rocafort did an awesome playing card for the book that everybody's gonna be getting. So thank you. And says, hail fellow animator hyper wizard.
Hail. Yeah, Mr. Burger has a bunch of animations on his channel. You should go check him out. Yeah,
Yes,
he does a great job. He does a very professional. I like his visual style. Keep it up, Mr. Burger.
Nice.
Speaking of the Simpsons, Mo Sislak in the chat. What's up, Mo Sislak? For $20. He says, what the fuck we even talking about?
It's Jungian shadow stuff. It is complex.
I never know.
It's going to move into characters, and I think the next slide we're going to talk about some characters. Thank you for the $20. Oh my god, thank you so much. I'll put that in with this next box. Sir Nolan of Lockhart for $10 says, would you say that Berserk made good use of the shadow with guts and the Berserk armor and Griffith / Femto?
I haven't got that far yet.
Spoilers.
The Berserk
No.
armor is-
We won't talk about what it actually does because you know what it does. But the answer is yes.
Yes.
That is
All right,
absolutely
cool.
his shadow, and also the villain is kind of the opposite of the main character, obviously.
Kick ass. We're going to talk about some of that too. And here we go. Before we get into the next slide, we have to do it, Irene. I'm sorry. All right. Ignore that.
Can I ask Kelsey a question? Seeing as we went,
No.
we kind of.
Yes.
Kelsey, when a minute ago when Rainey was talking about that whole like having a character having like a need and a desire and stuff. Have you started exploring those kinds of character flaws in Shank yet? Like, could you want to talk about that kind of thing? Because I'm super interested in that.
Well, like I was saying before, like his whole on the surface, it's like him just wanting to get out of this town. This this feeling like nothing's happening. He's got this yearning. A lot like a very young idea, and I was a guy that I was like a gypsy. I was in different states all the time. I never stayed more than a couple years in any place. And then I've been here, which is where I grew up, here in Baton Rouge in Louisiana. And I feel like I'm tired of moving. So I've learned a thing or two, and I see the value of growing roots and getting used to a place and feeling a sense of home, and so Shank, he's brought to that point where does he realize it before it's too late, kind of thing, so, and that's just one aspect of it, but that's like the major kind of character kind of arc he's going through, is this dealing with change like we all do. And how does one do that?
It's such a simple premise, just wrapped in an awesome badass package, that's why I really
there's other stuff too, of course he's got anger issues, he's got dealing with people in general. He's not very good at that, and does it stem from his just angst of feeling trapped in this place, and so there's a lot of things you can really explore with this.
In the
64 pages though.
In the Jungian sense, it is if someone is pissing you off, if there's something, you always have those people, you don't know why, but you're like, why do I fucking hate that guy for no reason? You are supposed to be able to essentially that person is highlighting something about you that you haven't unpinned yet, or at least in my experience that's what it's been. And if you start asking why, it usually gets to the point, I think, you get pissed off at people where you perceive that they're doing something effortlessly that either you sacrificed not being able to do or you find difficult.
Or maybe they're just an asshole.
They could be assholes too.
I think I faced my literal shadow, and I've changed. I was a whole different person 10, 15 years ago. And I met my doppelganger, and he was the worst aspects of every part of myself wrapped in one thing.
Another person in real life?
Yes. I'm saying a real doppelganger that I felt like I was just so confused by this individual for so long, and I'm just I fucking hate this guy. I don't know what it is. And then, with time comes perspective and things like that. With age comes wisdom. And you start thinking about it, and it's that's all the worst parts of me.
Yeah, that's totally Jungian, man. That.
Yeah.
You almost like all hate is self-hate and stuff.
Was his name Shannon Kelsey?
Yes. Yeah. Son of a bitch. What an asshole that guy was. I killed him. Yes, he's gone now.
That's how you solve that's how you face your shadow.
The cycle continues.
Yeah, you got to overcome that bastard.
So a little breakdown of this. So shadow, dark side of oneself. Carl always says, don't deny your shadow. Try to integrate parts of it into your life and put it to work. And so I think that's what we talked about earlier, lifting weights, doing a martial art, putting some of this stuff into your work, comic work and art and releases of expression like that. I think are really important. All right, I think this goes into characters. So the shadow examples in media. So these are two examples of characters in media that just popped into my head. If there's any in the chat of kind of shadow characters or characters that explore shadow in just the plot of them existing.
Good from Evil Dead, Army of Darkness.
Evil Ash.
Yeah, Evil Ash.
Definitely. So I chose Two-Face, of course. He's just one character that struggles with this always. It's basically his core premise. And then Detta Walker, who's a very prominent character in the Dark Tower series. She has multiple personalities, and she's, as you can see in that image there, she's the black lady with her legs cut off, standing on Roland's shoulders. Maybe that's Eddie's shoulders. She, when she was a kid, got hit in the head by a brick. Like some asshole threw a brick at her head at like a civil rights rally, and it splintered her mental state. So she has multiple personalities, one of them being Detta Walker, who's this super racist thief who's just stealing stuff all the time. Even though she's a very wealthy woman, this personality just loves stealing and talks about killing people all the time, and is just the nastiest parts of Susanna, who's her real name.
Sounds really, really fun. Pleasant
character. So really complex character, very, very cool, and just a lot of fun to listen to. I listen to audiobooks. But those were two that came up that deal with it, that not necessarily are shadow characters, but has the shadow aspects prominently. Klepto is what I was looking for. Thank you. He's a monster. Yeah.
16-bit mascot says, "Get a wheelchair, lady." She's got one. He's really buff. It's like a
she's got no legs.
Yeah, no legs. Yeah, she was I think before she was hitting the head with the brick, she was pushed in front of a train or a bus or something. Wow. She lost her legs as a kid. And then I think by the same guy. Correct me if I'm wrong, anyone that's read the Dark Tower series.
If this is the writer of that series incorporating his shadow by exploring ideas that
Stephen King.
Yeah, Stephen King's shadow is like, I need to incorporate my shadow. I need a black woman character who got hit in the head with a brick, so she's like a schizo now, and also her legs got cut off.
He says Dr. Jekyll and Hyde. For sure, and even aspects of the Incredible Hulk, which is very much based on Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Oh yeah,
we see that a lot. So I just wanted. I also wanted to show off that kick-ass art from Kyle Hotz. That Two-Face art. It's just freaking.
Oh yeah. Dim-witted chicken. Oh, you got it. Check it out.
No, dude,
saw the same one. He was saying it's Venom a shadow.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that. So he has shadow aspects to him, but in a entirely its own kind of archetype, which we'll dip into before we end here. We got about like 10 minutes left until the Jack show starts. All right, I'm gonna move forward here.
Stop reminding people. God damn it!
It actually has a time. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Damn it, Phil! It's just keep rolling with
this. Cecil does a good job. He actually puts them up on a time.
That's surprising. That's new.
Let's see. Oh, so here we go. The Shadow Villain, guys.
Ooh.
Wow.
This is exactly what you guys predicted. What a kick-ass cover too. Shadow is a villain. It's an evil version of the hero. Obviously, we see this now a lot, and Professor Geek has an awesome video that dives into this, and he was specifically talking and asked,
Professor Geek.
Remember him from back in the day?
Yeah, dude, he was awesome. That's right. Shit, I forgot about him.
He's got some awesome videos on archetypes, and this was during a live stream where he had just seen that new Godzilla film where they battle Mecha Godzilla with Kong and Godzilla, and he was asked what archetype of villain is Mechagodzilla, and it's the shadow villain. So it's basically the same character with same powers and abilities, and we see this a lot in the newer Marvel films, like Ant-Man, right? That in the first one, the Yellow Jacket was just Ant-Man. He has the same powers as Ant-Man, and now because of those Marvel films, it seems a little overdone using this shadow villain where it's just the same character, it was the same abilities. But the way you could use it usefully is it helps show that the hero is more than just his powers, because he's going up against his own powers. And it shines a light on what really makes the character a hero, whether it be the people he knows, his friends that care about him, or his intellect, stuff like that. Other abilities that aren't his superpowers because this person has them.
Like my doppelganger.
Exactly.
He was my my shadow villain. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He made you become the hero, Kelsey.
That's right. Damn him.
Fuck that guy. I wanted to be the villain.
Yeah, man. How dare he?
Imagine if you had a hero that's pissed off that he became the good hero, and he's like, I was having so much fun being the shadow version of me.
But isn't that the villain's story? Like he's right, like he's like trying to beat his villain. He's like, this guy is in my way of my perfect life.
Within him.
That would be interesting. Someone who's like, I wish I could do whatever I wanted, and they're pissed that they're being restrained.
This, I actually, when I started researching this, I remember this like prominently in, oddly enough, 90s like children's cartoons, where you'd have an episode where there would just be an evil version of the main character.
Oh yeah, that classic track. Yeah, the mirror world.
Right. Yeah, mirror world stuff. They did it in an episode of Earthworm Jim, I remember, where it's just like evil Earthworm Jim, and he just has like green skin and like weird buggy eyes. Could be considered like a clone type character. But I think there's a lot of burnout specifically from like the MCU doing this a lot.
Would this still be considered a shadow character? Like one of my favorite shows has been Red Dwarf since I was a kid.
Oh, I love that.
They play around with so much cool character shit. They have like a character called a polymorph that can suck people's personality traits out of them. Like one of them feeds on emotions, but another one feeds on their personality. You have like Rimmer, who's an absolute cunt, but he has all of his smarminess and smime, all his like two-facedness, his backstabbiness sucked out, and then you end up with this hero Ace Rimmer.
Yeah.
Who, like, would Rimmer be the shadow character? Or
Rimmer is the shadow. Yeah, he's the villain. That's
he's the shadow of himself. Then you have Ace Rimmer, the hero. And then they do the same thing with all the characters. Like they take all of the cool out of the cat, and then he turns into Dwayne Dibley. Cat, this very vain, dashing character ends up being like a complete geek with like buck teeth and holding a thermos.
I think you and I are the only ones that seen this show.
Yeah,
you guys seen that?
Yeah,
try and educate.
No one knows what the hell you're
Have you heard of this?
It's like one of the best shows. It really is.
They do so much good character stuff. Like, yeah.
Bobby in the chat says, wait, is the shadow a shadow? Which is a pretty funny play on words. But if you guys remember the Alec Baldwin Shadow film, you remember that, Kelsey, right?
Oh, dude, I love that movie.
So, and that's awesome. I'm not sure if a lot of people have seen it, but they kind of portray him as the persona of the Shadow is the main Lamont Cranston Shadow. Like at the beginning, you see him as this warlord, murderer, psychopath, and he kind of harnesses that when he becomes the Shadow. So there's some aspects of that.
Is that not how the character is? Is that something unique to the movie?
It's much more ambiguous in the pulp novels because
you probably didn't have this much knowledge of the psyche at that point. Right?
For sure, they had to truncate a lot of things down into that film. Like when you read the pulps, they actually, you find out in like book 3 that the Shadow isn't even Lamont Cranston. Lamont Cranston is a person that the Shadow is portraying when the real guy's away on vacation. So, and he confronts him and is like, hey, I've been pretending to you while you're gone. You need to leave because you're going to, spoil my rap here, trying to be you. So you don't even know who the Shadow actually is. It's rumored that he was a World War I pilot that got shot down and his face is burned. But it's much more ambiguous than that, which is pretty cool.
Henry Bemis has got it. He's like, the Shadow movie wasn't bad, but it wasn't nearly as good as it should have been. Yeah, I agree with that.
It holds a place in my heart.
Yeah.
But
it
then
does that.
who's the shadow? Seymour Skinner or Armin Tanzarian?
Exactly. Well, Simpsons
Oh, that's a good one.
It's
yeah, I love
God,
that.
they
It's
both
a-
kind of suck.
they're both shadows, dueling shadows. Imagine that.
Wow. God, that's a good one.
Yeah, that would be.
Let me see here. Oh, okay. So yeah, that was the kind of the shadow villain. I really liked what Professor Geek said about like how did Godzilla defeat the shadow aspect, the Mecha Godzilla? He had to use the help of King Kong. You know, his buddies or his buddy King Kong. You know, he charged up his axe thing, which saved Kong, and then was able to destroy the mech version. So utilizing a shadow villain is to amplify what makes your hero really a hero, not just his powers, you know, because
Yeah.
if
Well,
you give the
Dim-Witted
powers-
Chicken's got the good questions tonight, man. He says, "Are mimic characters shadows? Like, so say a mimic is mimicking the character, but he's evil, so he's being basically the dark side of that main character, right?"
Yeah, I think you can consider kind of a character like that a shadow type character, but it would have to put the conflict together with, you know, a hero. They're only a shadow character to that specific person they're mimicking, you know. So, but yeah, I mean, this is all played like loose and fast and stuff. Nothing's very specific and written in stone here.
I wonder if they've ever done a thing where you play it up as the shadow, but then you change the archetype where, you know, it turns out they're the mimic. You know what I mean? Like you fool the audience into believing the archetype is one thing, but that's because he's playing a trick on you. He's a trickster, actually.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, there's we did the trickster last time I hosted, and that was super cool. There's even like some more aspects I wanted to get into, like why you shouldn't indulge the trickster too much, right? Because then it becomes all ultimate chaos and stuff like that. But you could have different, you know, characters could be layered, like a trickster that's also a shadow type archetype. So
Daniel says, "Is John Malin Kelsey's shadow?" Yes.
definitely. All right, I think I got like two more. So this is now a slightly different turn on a shadow character, a different archetype altogether. It's called the mirror character, which could be a good guy. Most of the time is a bad guy. So you look at characters like Superman and Lex Luthor, very much mirror each other, and are basically a foil for each other as well. You know, the mirror characters have similar origins, but the thing that set them apart is the decisions they make in their morals. And you just have one choice that someone makes to go down a different path than someone else. So you see that a lot in Superman.
I prefer Superman 3, the evil Superman, and that was great. Where it was like, did you remember that Superman 3?
That's not the Atomic Man one, is it?
No, that's like Superman 4 or 5.
Oh.
4, I think. No, 3 is when he embraces his kind of shadow, his mirror. Well, it's not a mirror; it's like literally him, and he divides into two halves. One's like a dark Superman,
right?
One's and then the other's just Clark. And then so Clark actually he's getting his ass kicked by his own psyche, I guess, the dark half of himself.
Right.
Then he has to become Superman, save the day.
I want to talk about Berserk so bad. I'm so pissed at you. This would have been fucking perfect. Fucking finish this book.
Wait, I've got to read all. Can we do a whole stream where we just talk about Berserk, Rini?
That's what I'm going to do when he finishes. Hurry up.
Okay.
You got 1,000 more volumes to go. Hurry up.
I'm literally halfway. I'm actually halfway through all current volumes. So I'll instead of working this week, I'll read them all again this week.
Good. Don't worry. I don't want you to get anything done.
Maromi in the chat says Batman Joker. So like what I'm getting from the mirror character though is these are people that have kind of the same start but go down a different path. Like
See,
So
I don't.
Batman and Joker wouldn't really fit into it.
I don't
Like,
think
Joker
Batman
would,
and Joker would be.
Joker
And
would
not
have
a
to have
mirror
been a rich
character.
kid whose parents
He's
died.
clearly the trickster, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Joker's
but
very
as
much
in
a
the
character.
trickster. Mm-hmm.
Oh, mirror character. I read some good examples. Like, and I put this is actually Aaron Lepresti's Cain from Cain and Abel, because the original Cain and Abel story has a lot of mirror aspects to it. They're literally brothers raised by the same parents, but their one choice set them apart, whereas Cain kills Abel, and that defines him. And a lot of this too is these villains get defined by their own shadows, right? So they will indulge in it, and it sets them apart from their hero counterpart. The mirror is basically the other side of the coin of your hero, you know.
And
Overlord says Cain was a vegan. This I've always wanted a really hardcore action comic entitled Cain is Abel, and it's just like Cain going on a fucking rampage and killing everyone.
What about Cain loves Abel? Like where they end up being like the best brothers ever, and like
that'd be awesome.
I was wondering where you were going with that one.
Oh no, not that. Hey,
no,
he really loves
I think Cain is Abel would be like Cain gets into a horrible car accident and has to go through months of therapy to use his legs again, and
Cain
Abel helps him to become able to walk again.
Yeah, but what if it's reversed? Like where Cain loves Abel, they have that situation with the car crash, but then Abel just resents Cain because he's still got his legs, and then Abel becomes the bad guy because he's like, you know, oh, son of a bitch, he should have got his legs cut off.
Abel's like, I had everything and I lost it because you were drunk driving and I trusted you.
Yeah.
Someone brought up an interesting example, though, where a shadow or kind of an opposite character doesn't always have to be the villain, and that's Frodo and Gollum. And those are definitely because I was thinking, well, in Lord of the Rings, what is the shadow and what is because it's this weird thing where the forces of the positive forces are kind of multiple. There's like a very clearly defined. There's one figure, Morgoth, that's the opposing villainous force, but then the sort of like all these other gods and other people are kind of the good side, so to say. Well, they are the good side, but so it's like it is Morgoth the shadow of Iluvatar, but not really, because the way it's framed is, I'm not going to get into that. But anyways, with the way Gollum is portrayed in the story, it's really interesting because he is this mirror of what Frodo could become, and he's this constant reminder of this is what you could be if you don't control yourself, and and he's also a hobbit and everything, and it's so cool that character's there, but he's not a villain per se as this pitiful character that Frodo has empathy for, and because he has empathy for Gollum, in the end he succeeds.
Right.
Yeah.
Great example.
Next slide.
Kelsey's like, hurry this shit up.
Yeah, I got places to be.
I think this is the last one. So this is the needs in the mirror. So it shines light on the hero's flaws and amplifies the morality of the hero. Shows the importance of choice and warns against indulgence. And I thought another cool example with the mirroring aspect would be Daredevil and Punisher. And that's how they don't have to be villains and heroes against each other. They're doing the same thing, but in a different way. And it makes the morals of it
like Xavier and Magneto.
For sure.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Basically on the same goals, but want to approach it in completely different ways.
Yeah, for sure. And I've seen people in certain stories put like Batman and Deathstroke on that too. They're have very similar skill, but they choose to live their lives totally on opposite ends of getting justice out there, but Deathstroke's some killer for hire,
Yeah.
So,
Very cool.
The
end.
That's it.
Yeah.
That was it.
The whole time we've been doing this, it's like you have these two characters that are these two opposites, and all I've been thinking about is like, do you just get a more complex character by like combining the two within the person, and they're constantly fighting like the dark side of themselves through the story?
Well, that's like Two-Face. I mean, he literally is like the best guy, you know, who now has to deal with the worst aspect of himself, literally on the other side of his head.
Yeah,
for sure. And for Two-Face, there's been story arcs where he was very stable for a long time. Two-Face held the cowl for a little bit. He was Batman for a time when Bruce was away, and Bruce taught him how to fight and stuff, Harvey. And then, you know, of course, he went back and became a bad guy again. But
Richard Cahill's is The Mask. Interesting.
Well, yeah, I mean, The Mask is a huge exploration.
He puts on the shadow,
the
on
shadow,
the mirror,
and the id, you know, and an embellishment of that for sure. Yeah, it's a great one. So I mean, the reason I brought this up is because I had an idea for a future story down the line with my Crimstone character, which is obviously very kind of like psychologically charged, in exploring that character.
Damn, look at Phil, ABC. Always be selling. Bring up that. I know you got it ready. Bring it up.
I'm gonna get that piece of artwork that you asked me for a minute ago.
Yeah, go get that, and then we'll wrap this up. But yeah, and if you want to learn more about Crimstone, you can go over and back the Lost Pages 3. This focuses all about Crimstone. You get to know and see inside of Jazz's mind. We got some insane pages coming up of this psychedelic, almost Doctor Strange-esque world that is inside of, very Ditko-esque, inside of her mind that Krim lives in. So crazy fun. So jump on over here, grab the book if you have not yet, and get some goodies too. There's some an ash can as well. If you dig Vigilantes and, you know, talking about the kind of mirror imaging of the Punisher and Daredevil, we're doing something similar with the People and the silhouette here and the ash can. The People does not kill.
Cool.
He's someone that is very familiar with death, which we'll explore in this one, and he's made a stand to not kill. And the silhouette, the supernatural vigilante, is someone that does kill. So that's going to be explored a lot in this story. So check all that out. And of course, while Jake gets that, we also have Fiendish as well. Definitely grab. Now, when is this coming down? Because you're nearing the end here.
Like a week, less than a week.
Less than a week.
So you wanna bag it. If you're thinking bag it out. My next stretch goal is like 100. I think it's either 180 or 175. I don't remember, but it's another sticker. I was thinking if we get to 200K, I was going to add some more pages, but I don't think we're going to get there. I think this is, I should be fulfilled. If we do get to 200K, that would be awesome, and I'll add more stuff. But yeah, I got to go to print soon because the art is almost done. So we got to close this down and get to fulfillment.
Do you know what you're doing for the closeout? Have you planned?
I have no idea.
Party!
Yeah, it needs to be a big fucking party for this.
Either
party in Tampa.
Either depending on when Indiegogo replies me, either I'll just close out on Kings if Ethan doesn't mind, or I'll just close. It'll be Wednesday and I'll just drink all night. So yeah.
We'll
Bring out the goblet.
Yes.
Close it on Kings. Have an after party where you drink anyway. Have the celebratory Wednesday.
I think
talk about Berserk. Get drunk. Talk about Berserk as your closeout.
Yeah.
I got to finish book 1 still. So.
Oh, you haven't even read.
I think I'm halfway through book 1. I had nightmares after that opening page.
That's how really? Yeah. Well, I mean, he killed it, so spoilers.
Yeah, that's no fair.
That's your homework for next week. Read Berserk, and then my whole stream will be.
If Phil can't get past the first page of Fiendish 1, I don't think he's really gonna make it through Berserk.
Lightweight.
Wait, you haven't read Fiendish 1 either?
No, I have. I was talking about Berserk. No, I was talking about the
okay.
He's banging that demon alien thing.
Oh yeah. You didn't think that was sexy?
Well, it was mostly Guts' butt. So
Oh.
Yeah, you traumatized that man.
It is
But
cute.
Oh, I see why Irene likes it.
Super
Okay.
straight filler.
Nothing in there for us guys. I get it.
there's a lot of boobs.
Our women
so-
are hanging from the tree with babies falling out of them. Yeah, I see.
There's that too, but there are also a lot of
True.
boobs that are not being butchered.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Here it is.
Speaking of something for the guys.
Hey, awesome.
Here he is. I've got a
Oh my
bunch of
God.
signups. You can go to connellcomic.com to sign up. You know, people probably post in the chat. Like, I've had 4, 5, 6, 7 signups. So, like, you guys fucking rock. But yeah, it looks like I get a lot of signups when I don't mention Connell's special ability, which
Yeah.
is the power of having some kind of shape-shifting appendage coming out there. Like, that's definitely an axe. But yeah, this is Connell the Barbarian. Look at him.
It's
I think
glowing.
it's hilarious, but I keep realizing because
Wait a
maybe
minute.
this is a problem
Kelsey's
for
just
men.
Kelsey's
realizing
going
it.
through the process. Kelsey's going through the process of wait. You look at the art and you're like, that's pretty cool. And then you're like, wait, why does his axe have a lot of veins going? Why is that a vascular axe?
3 volumes of this guy. We're gonna find all about his dick axe. Yeah.
Here's another piece.
It's gonna be.
It
Oh,
feels like I don't want this on my channel.
Is
Here's
it?
another.
This one's
Here's
great.
him attacking an encampment of blocks. He's saving 2 of the lady blocks from the camp, and he's got a giant fist going on.
He's like Green Lantern powers. Just think of that, Kelsey.
I was thinking Miss Marvel. Now that she's dead, this guy taking over. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So we're dancing on Miss Marvel's grave with some nice barbarian, but there's a lot of boobs in the book too. Don't worry, it's not all going to be.
Thank God.
Blue glowing schlong.
Thank God.
There's a lot of boobs and sex in it. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be
You don't
shameless.
want to schlong for the whole book, Phil? You sure?
I'm just making it
Such
for
an
Rini.
aversion to naked men. Gosh.
Rini's Connell's #1 fan. Like,
Yeah. I think it's hilarious, but then I'm like, oh, maybe most people don't have my sense of humor. I think
People want to
maybe
know
it's
if
funny.
the axe shoots projectiles.
yeah, individual bullets.
Spoilers.
I was like,
He
does it
shoots-
turn into a machine gun?
Oh
See,
my God,
there's
that'd be so
natural
cool.
interactivity.
No
with
complex
the-
machinery, only simple stabbing weapons. No, I don't know.
But yeah, people have a lot of fun with the IP, making up stupid stuff that could happen. And guess what, guys? It's totally all gonna happen. Every idea you have, it's totally gonna be real.
I'm excited, man.
I know what you're thinking. It's in the book.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I guess thanks for being here. It's been an awesome stream. We had like 250 people, which is insane. I
Word.
attribute that to Kelsey Shannon, my buddy down here. Thank you for being here, Kelsey. Did you?
Where am
enjoy-
I again?
Did you
Yeah.
enjoy
Oh,
your
yeah.
stream?
For sure. Talking about the darker aspects of myself. Yeah, now I feel great.
Thanks for coming out, Kelsey. You're
I'm glad.
Where's
adorable.
my booze? Give me my booze.
I'll send it in the mail. It's on its way.
Drown out my own shadow. Yeah. No, I had fun. Thank you for having me.
Good endeavor.
Make sure you guys are subbed to all these channels. Make sure you're subbed to Kelsey's doing some awesome stuff on his channel. Just a great morning show. Tune in every weekday except for Fridays. Is your day off, right?
Monday through Thursday, 11 to noon, 11 Central.
That's right. Stay tuned for that. He's got more Shank coming. Awesome stuff he's working on. And next week we'll be on Irene's channel, Rini Draws.
Mhm.
And we'll be talking about something for sure.
We'll talk about Berserk, I think. I don't know, but that's my plan right now. Yeah.
Talking about Berserk.
Maybe
Wait,
50%.
are you really going to talk about Berserk for your next week's show? For you?
I'm like 50% sure that's what I'm gonna do if you finish.
Oh my-
Here's some damn books.
It's manga, dude. You can read a chapter in like 6 minutes. Don't worry.
No, literally, I've read 7 books of it in like half a week. But like,
Yeah.
okay, I'll read the rest of it.
But you got to
and then
retain it.
We can talk about it, and then Narwhal and Phil will be like, I don't know what the fuck that guy's talking about.
I know it depends on like because Narwhal's not here, but I was like, there's so many. We can cover like one aspect of Berserk. Like I don't know. I think because it's like it's really shadowy, but it's also like super sexual and stuff, and we can.
Should
cover
Narwhal
that.
read it? I mean, I don't know if Narwhal should read it. He might change him.
Yeah,
change
it'll
him.
make him. It'll make him a real boy.
It honestly changed me a little bit because, like, you know, I've been doing. I mean, just creativity wise, you know, I'm doing Connell, this like more comedic thing, and reading how decompressed Berserk is. Like, there's a whole you start off, it does the typical thing that we were talking about, like, oh, you want to do this really long slow story, but then like you got to punch it in with action. Like, there's a few chapters at the beginning that are like, this is him fighting demons. Then it goes all the way back to like how we got there from the
Oh,
is this the law? Is this the law? She's drinking. She's drinking from
This is
Berserk head.
Alex BRB wanted me. He made this. It's the quote about the abyss, I believe, and it says it was quoted. The quote was by Kelsey Shannon as, in his previous life as Napoleon Bonaparte. So Kelsey is a reincarnated. Napoleon
BRB is our like #1 memer.
That's right.
I like that Narwhal is silenced. This is 2
Yeah,
weeks in a row where it wasn't him.
Duct tape on his mouth. Great one, Alex. Killed it. Go follow us on Rumble, guys, if you can. I just dropped the link in the chat there, and then
Brady's got a Berserk mug.
She's drinking guts. What's written on the bottle? What's
Guts
drinking
and
on the bottle?
Oh, written on the
What does
bottle.
it
Let me
say?
see here. It
The
says
username?
Bonk.
Bonkphobic.
Bonk
Bonk
antidote.
antidote.
Bonk
yeah.
antidote.
Speaking of, I need a that sounds like a great idea.
The Bonk.
I'll get some booze.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, I just dropped the Rumble link. We need like, I don't know, 7 more Rumble followers so we can stream over there. If you guys have a Rumble, definitely go over there. And then we have one more super chat, and then we're gonna get out of here. I love BPR. PBR. Sorry, Pabst Blue Ribbon. Also, what's up, Phil? What's up, Bobby? Thanks for the $2, brother.
To me, that means physically based rendering, but that's a video game thing.
How do you spell the gay? You know how people write gay. Leighton Gay is a Ghey.
Yes.
Yeah.
G-H-E-Y.
Ghey.
Ghey. All right, guys, go watch the Jack show. We're gonna dispose of Kelsey's body so he doesn't have to go.
Okay, bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Right?